Miller is a big, big fan of a utopian novel from 1973. I'm not going to give you the title of it. I'm sorry, dystopian, not utopian, from 1973, that posits that Western civilization, and by that they mean white people, although usually white Christian people and usually white Protestant people. There's some wiggle room on that because, of course, we know that Miller is Jewish. At least his family was Jewish. Posits that civilization of it, the book was written about Europe. Miller, of course, is in the United States, is being invaded and taken over by people of color who are going to destroy it. That those people who believe in this are literally at war with invaders coming in from countries where people are people of color. This is, of course, a pure dystopian fantasy. It is racist beyond belief, but in the scheme of American history, it is more than that. That is this fantasy that somehow there are these hordes of people coming, and those of us who adhere to the principles of democracy in the United States of America that say that we are a nation of immigrants, that this is what has made us great, what the economists say and what the politicians say and what people like me say because we understand American history, even if we are white, are aiding and abetting those hordes coming in. If we are defending the rule of law, if we're defending due process for immigrants, that we too are the enemies. This argument should not be seen in isolation, either from its racist roots, but also from its sort of application over arguments that Americans made beginning really in the 1980s about the fears of communism taking over the United States with the conniving of people who were already in the United States. And you see that all the way back to the 1950s with Joseph McCarthy, but you really see it in the 1980s with movies like Red Dawn, where the whole idea is communists are taking over America with the conniving of politicians in the United States. That idea that people of color are destroying the United States with the conniving of politicians and people like me in the United States, or people who believe in democracy, they fit right over each other. And that then suggests that people like Miller, people who believe in this idea of being replaced by people from elsewhere, who believe that somehow their civilization is not being honored and supported by immigrants the way that reality has actually played out, but is actually under siege by what almost seems like a zombie army. That then means that any violence directed at people who are not on their team can be justified. And that's really important because that's not politics. That's not business as usual. That are the fever dreams of a disordered mind. And that seems to be what is driving this army of federal agents into our streets to kill people who are exercising the rights that have been given to all of us throughout American history in the Bill of Rights. The First Amendment, the right to peaceably assemble, the right to protest, the right of a free press. Those rights, the rights from the Fourth Amendment, that you are protected from unreasonable searches and seizures of your home, for example, something this administration has thrown out. The 14th Amendment's protection of due process, the idea that they can't simply throw you on a plane and say, we've decided that you're a member of a gang, which now we know the U.S. intelligence did not believe was accurate, and ship you to a prison where you're going to get tortured. Those are our birthrights as Americans, whether you came here and got your citizenship a minute and a half ago, or whether your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, all the way back to before the Pilgrims, stepped off a fishing boat in the late 1500s. That is what they are trying to get rid of. On the other side of that are those of us who believe in our democracy, in our rights, in our communities. And that's what happened today on the streets of Minneapolis, is that a man who was an ICU nurse, who was trying to help somebody up, got sprayed in the face with pepper spray, and then got shot 10 times on the sidewalk.